Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz met in June of 1940 in the cafeteria of the RKO studio. Desi was having lunch with director George Abbott, who was in charge of the Too Many Girls movie that Desi was going to star in. Suddenly, Lucy walked in wearing rags and covered in scary makeup, as she was taking a break from filming a movie scene. Desi got startled by Lucy's scary look and asked the director who that young lady was. The director told Desi that it was Lucille Ball and that she was going to star in the same movie with him. When Desi saw Lucy later that day, he did not recognize her. Lucy was almost 29, and Desi was 23. They fell in love instantly and got married later that same year. Interestingly, the couple had originally decided that due to their differences, marriage was a bad idea. Despite their rationale, the strong attraction to each other was what made them rethink their decision. Lucy talks about this in her Love, Lucy memoir. So what were the differences that Lucy and Desi saw as barriers to a happy marriage? Firstly, Lucy was 6 years older than Desi, and that seemed to bother her a lot at that time. Secondly, Desi was Catholic while Lucy was Protestant. Thirdly, their outlooks on life were very different. Lucy and Desi grew up in two totally different environments, not just culturally, but also socioeconomically. Lucy grew up in Jamestown, New York, in a working-class family. Her father died when she was very young, and her family struggled financially throughout her childhood. Her mother worked multiple jobs, and Lucy was raised primarily by her grandparents. She had a modest upbringing, and her family's financial hardships were a significant part of her early life. Desi, on the other hand, came from a wealthy and influential family in Cuba. His father was the mayor of Santiago de Cuba, and they owned land, including a large ranch. As Lucy writes in her book, Desi was living like a young prince, with cars, and speedboats, and horses. Finally, their careers were not compatible. Desi was supposed to spend 6 months out of a year traveling with his band, and 6 months working for RKO Studio in Hollywood. The level-headed Lucy, who preferred to live below her means, was not excited about that kind of arrangement. Knowing how much Desi loved to party and spend his money away, as if it was his last day, she feared the relationship would not survive. One night, they sat down at a restaurant to discuss their future. After going over all of these differences, as Lucy writes, "We agreed that night that we could not marry.